The Legend of Zelda series takes place for the most part in the bright, vast kingdom of Hyrule. This kingdom consists of mountains, lakes, deserts, forests, and at the center of it all, Castletown, where the kingdom thrives under the rule of its king. We don't know much about the royal family of Hyrule other than its princess, Zelda. Zelda is the daughter of Hyrule's king and possesses sacred power that is able to seal away the dark forces that threaten the kingdom. On its face, Hyrule seems like a beautiful place to live, with a strong force to protect it from evil. But make no mistake, this kingdom houses many dark secrets, and a dark history that, as we all will see, links itself all the way back to the royal family. So let's begin. In Ocarina of Time, very early on, we are introduced to Impa. Impa is a member of the ancient Sheikah tribe, charged with serving Hyrule's royal family. Impa serves as the protector of Princess Zelda, and will do whatever necessary to keep her from evil's grasp. The Sheikah are, for the most part, a mystery in the Zelda series, but their history isn't. The Sheikah were Hyrule's executioners, and that revelation is made very clear by Ocarina of Time's 7th dungeon, the Shadow Temple. The game makes it clear when going through this temple that you are walking through a prison, and you are witnessing what the criminals of Hyrule would endure. The Sheikah are the ones who would carry out punishment on these criminals by bringing them into the Shadow Temple and placing them into the dungeon's many torture chambers. The temple runs deep below Hyrule. The temple runs so deep that it's connected to the bottom of the well that runs throughout Kakariko Village. In the bottom of the well, we see just how brutal the punishment of Hyrule's criminals would get. There are rooms with bloodstains and whipping posts that prisoners would be tied and chained to in order to make their punishment as excruciating as possible. And who would carry out these punishments? The Sheikah, the protectors of Hyrule's royal family. It makes one wonder, just what else are they capable of? But their dark deeds of execution and torture can be summed up by what the game tells us as Link walks through the Shadow Temple. Here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. In Twilight Princess, we see Hyrule engulfed in the dark yet bright glow of twilight, a form of darkness set forth by the usurper king Zant, a member of the Twilight with one desire: to rule the realm of the Twilight. But how did Zant get to Hyrule and begin to terrorize it? This too can be traced back to Hyrule's royal family. We just saw that the royal family would send Hyrule's criminals to the Shadow Temple, but they also had another method of punishment that was far worse, and reserved for the worst of criminals, the Mirror of Twilight. If a prisoner were taken to the Mirror of Twilight, they would be forever banished from the world of light, never to return. One of these prisoners was Ganondorf. He was captured by the sages of that time, and they even attempted to execute him, but without the aid of Hyrule's hero and the Blade of Evil's Bane, this attempt was foolish. As Ganondorf fights back with his Triforce of Power, he breaks free of his shackles and kills the Sage of Water. And just before he can kill anyone else, the sages use the Mirror of Twilight to send Ganondorf to the Twilight Realm, never to return. Of course, we learn later that this too was not enough to keep Ganondorf at bay, because on the other side was a man desperate for power, Zant, and it was his desire to rule that Ganondorf used to return to the world of light. But how does this all relate back to Hyrule's royal family? By the time Link makes it to the Arbiter's grounds where the Mirror of Twilight resides, the place is mostly abandoned and forgotten except by one, Princess Zelda. Upon visiting her to restore Midna's strength, Midna asks Zelda a favor: to tell Link the location of the Mirror of Twilight. Zelda is part of the royal line, which means she would know where something as forgotten as the Mirror of Twilight would reside. This just goes to show that trying to bury the past will never work, and it's further exemplified by the spread of Twilight across Hyrule, which all started by the brutal punishment that the royal family placed on Ganondorf. A punishment that they never would have guessed would come back to haunt them, as they are now the ones trapped in the realm of the Twilight. Breath of the Wild takes place in a world completely destroyed by Ganon's power. There is no king, Princess Zelda is trapped inside the castle, keeping Ganon at bay, and Link wakes up into this broken world after failing to defeat the calamity that brought this kingdom to ruin. We don't get to see much of Hyrule's royal family aside from King Rome's ghost, and a few brief memories. We get to see him and Zelda, but Breath of the Wild's sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, reveals that the royal family kept the origin of the calamity a secret. In the game's opening moments, Link and Zelda are venturing into the dark caves underneath Hyrule Castle to investigate why evil once again is surfacing from beneath. After all, the calamity did come from the same place, under Hyrule Castle, so there is definitely reason for concern. Further down these dark caves lies the Demon King himself, Ganondorf, sealed away for millennia by the first king of Hyrule, King Rauru. But the royal family knew this, and they did everything they could to cover it up. If Link ventures into the ruined corridors of the castle, he'll come across a stone slab that reads the following: "Deep beneath this land, our mighty first ruler imprisoned the Demon King. To ensure the king's magic would hold, we erected a castle here to protect this sacred site. Without the castle in place, the site may be disturbed, allowing the Demon King's hatred and rage to be revived. The preservation of this castle is therefore tied to the prosperity of the kingdom." Hyrule Castle was a cover-up by the royal family that would follow after King Rauru sealed Ganondorf beneath Hyrule Castle, and Zelda and King Rome knew about this matter. In the game's opening moments, Zelda explains that it was forbidden to come this far deep below the castle. She learned this from her father, King Rome, but he wouldn't explain why, as even discussing the matter was forbidden. This warning was passed from generation to generation, royal family to royal family. The royal family unknowingly doomed its kingdom into a constant war with Ganondorf. Yes, he was sealed below the castle, but his power and rage began to leak out and form what we saw in Breath of the Wild, Calamity Ganon. And we learned from Impa that this evil was turned back time and time and time again. Hundreds and thousands of years, Hyrule had to deal with the resurfacing of the calamity, because its source, while sealed underground, still had enough power to summon a being of rage and destruction. The forgotten foundations that lie deep beneath the castle sat dormant for years, but once Link and Zelda ventured into the dark caverns, the secrets the royal family tried to cover up are secret no more. Ganondorf awakens.
Was that the sword that seals the darkness? The blade that shatters so easily against my power cannot save you from me.